Today we're going to look at how to use the recording studio equipment in conjunction with GarageBand to create a new recording. So you're going to want to make sure that the Scarlett interface, the big red box, is plugged into whatever computer you're using. By default, it should be plugged into the Mac Mini in the recording studio. If you're using a MacBook, just make sure that you plug in the USB cable into your MacBook. And then also make sure that the Scarlett interface is turned on and that the microphone is turned on as well. And so now that you're in GarageBand, we will choose an empty project to create. By default, it creates this piano track. We'll just select it, hit the delete button, get rid of it. And now what we want to do is we want to choose this audio microphone. And down here, again, by default, it should, where it says my instrument is connected with Scarlett 18N 20 USB. If it says something else, just click on this arrow here. And for your input and your output, make sure that you've chosen the interface. So once you've done that, click X. We'll make sure that this is unchecked. You don't want to hear your instrument as you're playing and recording. It causes some odd things to happen. So also, depending on the microphone you're using, you'll choose the appropriate input. So all the microphones are labeled as they're set up. So input number 1 is microphone number 1, and that's the microphone in the recording in the engineer's room. And then inputs 2, 3, and 4 are microphones that are set up in the recording studio. So on the wire by the microphone, you'll see they're labeled, they're numbered, so that number corresponds to the input in the interface. So right now I'm in the engineer's room, so I will use microphone number 1, so input number 1, and I will create. Now it creates a track called Audio 1. What I'll do is I'll double click on the name and I'll rename it whatever. When you're working with multiple tracks, it's a good idea to properly label them so that you know what you're working with. Okay, so I've renamed this and I can see here that my levels are pretty good. It's not too loud. You can see as I get closer to the microphone and it gets into the yellow and the red, the quality of the audio deteriorates. So again, if you find that your level is too low, you can turn the gain up on the interface. If you find it's too high, it's getting into that yellow and that red zone, then you're going to want to turn the gain down on the interface. So to record, I have my recording track. I make sure that I select it. Up here, you'll notice a couple of buttons in here that are in purple. Right now, this count in button is selected. So when you hit the record button, there will be a count in. So there'll be 4 beats, then the recording will begin. So again, it's just something to keep in mind when you are recording. Once you hit the record button, don't start talking right away. Listen to those 4 beats that are counting you in, and then you can start recording. If for whatever reason you need a metronome, there's a metronome here, although I believe that when you click on the metronome and you're using the metronome, it also records the sound of the metronome, so that may be an issue. So to record, it's quite simple. We'll make sure our playhead is at the beginning, or again, depending wherever you want to start recording, that's where you're going to place your playhead up here. So now I'm going to hit the record button, or I can hit R on my keyboard, and that will begin the recording process. So now it's going to count me in, and now I can begin to talk, and you can see here in the track as it's recording that you can see the sound waves of your voice as you're talking, and the louder you become, the bigger those waves. The quieter you become, the smaller those waves. So to stop the recording, I can hit my space bar and it will stop the recording. And then I can bring my playhead back. And again, hit space bar, that's your pause button, play and pause so you can play and hear what you've done. So at the most simple, that's how you can record. You can record multiple tracks. So if you wanted another track, or you wanted to set up another microphone to have a conversation, or you wanted to record an instrument, we click on new track. Again, you choose microphone. You would choose what input you want. say input number 2, so microphone number 2, and then you go create, and now we can record, let's say, studio mic. Okay, so now studio mic will be set up. We don't have anybody actually at the mic right now, but if you wanted to record 2 at a time, you could record the 2 microphones at a time. No. Okay, so it seems like you can't record 2 at a time. To do that, we'd have to use Logic Pro, which I'll show you in another video. But if you wanted to record now with the studio mic, you could set up your studio mic, hit record, and it would record along this track. Now, let's say you're done and you want to convert this audio recording into an MP3. We go to Share, and you're going to Export Song to Disk. From here, if you click on this little drop-down arrow, it'll give you more options to save. You can choose where on your computer you want to save. You can choose the type of audio file, and you can choose the quality of the recording, or of the export. And then once you've decided where you want to go and what you want to name it, you go export, and it will work its magic and export the song. So now if I go to my Finder on my desktop, I will see that I have here test recording that I just created.